Mm. All right, Jan, go ahead.
Okay, I share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the moment I am building the import for my data from the last step to the builder, and I built the 3 different importer for my 3 different data collections. And I tried it, that works. So I'm very happy about this. And I have one user ID legacy in this so that I can match them with my, for the new user ID. But I have no idea how to match or update my new record with the new user ID. So I can show what I mean. I have here the record here. The user ID is empty because it's imported, but I have at the end the user ID legacy, and this one is the same. As in users, and here's also, I have to look. Yeah, here's also my account, the user with the same login ID. And yeah, exactly. Actually, this is the user ID I want to update in the other data collection now. So that's the use case. And how I started is that I have a button and I try to do a flow for updating, but I think I have no idea actually where to start. Yeah. So can you help me?
Yeah, I guess the first question, in the users data collection, are you also capturing the legacy user ID, or is it the same as the ID?
I have it also in this. Yeah, exactly. So I can have a look. Okay. So here it is. I think at the end I put. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so it is there. Okay, just wanted to make sure. I didn't see it, so I was like, okay. So I'm assuming you already set up like a grid where you're loading those imported records, and then
no, not yet. So it's the first step to have a grid with all my users or all my podcast and guests, or
yeah, you'll need to load, because essentially we're going to use the grid to just loop through each record.
Yeah.
So that we can find the user using the legacy ID, but then to grab the current ID, the builder ID, to then save that into the current record. So essentially what you need to do is, like, after you import the users and you create them, you need to load them into a grid.
Okay,
and then
that would be
grid row page is where you will have this update record that will then run through every row.
Okay, and so the grid loads all the records, right?
Yeah, like, and you can set, like, maybe create a field where you can just set a flag. That way you only load the ones that you just imported. And then when you do the record update to find the user ID based on the old legacy ID, at the same time that you're updating that new ID, also set that flag to something else. That way the next time you come in, you don't find it in that data anymore.
And how do I start this update process? With a button, or in
yeah, you can do it in the button, or you could automate it.
I think in your case, you want the guests. You want to load the guests that you import into this grid. So you could do it right after the guest CSV uploads. Like the next action could be set value of it into a grid. And once you do that, the grid row itself, it's going to load a bunch of grid rows. So when that grid row loads, it's going to trigger whatever you want because it's on the row page, on the page binding or the page load. So in there, you can find any user ID you want. You can add it. You can change it. You can update 3 records or 1 record. So whatever you need to do, you do on that row page. But that's the key. It's basically as soon as a CSV is uploaded, whether you click a button or whether it's automatic, you just load that uploaded data into a grid, and then it'll be automatic. Let those grid row pages take care of their actions in each row.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is the process. I couldn't imagine how do this work, but okay. So my next steps are to build the grid list and load this data collection there, and make an update for this grid list for each record. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then I can try this. For my own, and we can discuss it next week if I have problems, I think.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I import the image from an external URL. We talked about this last week as well. And do I need for this a custom code, or how do I do it with the custom? I can show you right now. My CSV is something like this, that I have the URL from my old Prog Telephone Webflow. Here's the image saved. And now I want to upload this image so that it's saved in Builder.
Yeah, so you'd need the update that Drew has, and he can get that to you. But before you even get to that, you need to do the same thing you're gonna do for guests, where after you create, or I guess that is the guests, right? The images for the guests.
Yeah, the image for the guest and for the podcast. So they both have an image. Yeah. Yeah.
So for both of those, you need to, after you upload it and you create the records, you need to load those into a grid list and do separate grid lists that way, because they're different. But for the image, is it the image uploader that he's going to use, or he just sets that URL to that element?
Yeah, I'll have to give you like a little bit of extra code for the image uploader. It was just something we actually recently found that it doesn't like accept a text value image correctly. So when I give you it, it will. And then basically after you load in all those guests into the grid row, you're doing your user ID stuff. And the same, right after you do your image stuff. So what you'll do is you'll set the value of the image uploader as that Webflow URL. So you'll have an image uploader technically on the page. It'll update to be your image. And then you have to trigger the change on that, or trigger like the save, so that it saves it into a database. But normally, that's how you'd save an image into builders, with an image uploader element. So you're doing that same method. You're just starting it from the web URL, from the Webflow URL. Okay.
So should I create a new field in the data collection for the image latency, or?
I would if I were building it, but you don't have to. Like I always would create that field just to have the data, just in case in the future you need to manually match something up or whatever.
Yeah.
I usually just keep that in, but it's kind of up to you.
Yeah, I would definitely store it, because like while you're building and testing through it, it may not work the first time.
Yeah.
And you need it there to run it again, to keep trying it,
Okay. Yeah. I think then I will create a new field for the image latency, and then I use your code to import the image, right? Okay, good. Yeah, so I know the next steps, I think.
Nice.
And so thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Jan. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next week and see where you are with things. Okay, ciao. All right, so next up, let's see, is John in here? No, he's not. All right, we had a question. Is Karsh in here? Not yet. Okay, actually, Anne, you're in here. Did you want to ask any questions on public execution of apps?
Yes. So hello, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. I just want to say that you have a wonderful team here, and it's great that, I'm participating in the office hour. So I'm new to Builder, and there is an app that I would like to build with my team, and it's basically a language learning app. So if you have used Duo Lingo before, you know how one page you press something and it leads to another. And I'm thinking, if I were to do that in Builder, does that mean that I have to go build like every single different page for each action? And in that case, is it going to slow down the whole process?
Do you mean the build process, or
I mean from the user's perspective, like
Gotcha.
when they press them, because it's going to be like a very large thing.
Okay.
So that the way that you build in Builder, it's so open-ended and you can do whatever you want. You can build something to be efficient or inefficient. So technically you could make your app slower if you did it in a certain way that made it slower, but you don't have to in Builder. You can get that achieved if you build it in the correct ways, basically, where you're loading pages in dynamically. And it's not too crazy. Like you can, in Discord, people will help you set that up. It's a quick thing, you know, it's a couple concepts to learn. But as long as you do that, yeah, you don't have to worry about performance in that way at all.
Okay.
And what you can do is, like, depending on the type of content, if it's something where there's like, you know, 60 types of actions, you don't have to make 60 pages. You can make one page that will like change dynamically. So it's similar to code in that way. Like you can get anything done that you need to get done pretty efficiently, and you can make it super efficient for the front end for your users.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a tutorial on that already?
Good question. I mean, it's like there's so many things, and it depends like specifically on your app. Basically, there's so many factors and so many differences in the apps. There's probably a couple tutorials that would apply, but I'm not really sure off the top of my head.
Okay.
I would definitely say, and start with, like, Builder has a huge learning curve. I was just talking to Bill with this in DMs. It's a huge learning curve because it has everything is open. There's power and flexibility, and we don't provide opinions on, hey, this is the one way to do things. We're trying to mitigate that and figure out like what's the right balance of making some things easier without losing that extensibility. The best place to start is by working on building something simple so that you can learn the concepts. So there's like a course for building a Google clone, and then a course for building like a Chrome extension, and those will help. The second thing I would say is there's something in there that's called the SaaS Starter project. It's a project template you can start from, and it's a fully built out app. It's got a dashboard. It's got, it's like a single page app. So it loads different pages in, and that I think is a good structure that you'd be able to see. You can literally go in there. You can see how everything is set up. It's already fully working. You can just make it your own if you want. But that kind of shows you how you can load in. You've got like a div on a page on the home page, right? And then depending on where you are, what you're doing, you just load in different pages within there. So you don't have to have everything fully loaded all the time. Kind of like Drew was talking about, you dynamically call in what's needed at different points. That would be a really good thing. We did just get some feedback that I thought was great about us having like a dedicated session on how to build in thinking about performance, right? And like what are tips and tricks to build efficiently, like Drew was mentioning. So that's something we want to do soon. But I would say those are probably the best places to get started. And we can, like, if you have like a structure, or do you have your project mapped out or wireframed at all?
Right, it's on Figma. I have the prototype.
Yeah. On Figma? Okay. We could always kind of take a look at that and give you suggestions on like, here's how you should base structure that.
Okay.
So definitely if you're open to sharing that with one of us, we can take a look and kind of offer advice on how you would do that. In regards to performance, that's one part of it. The other part of it is the execution of your project and where the data is stored. Right now, you can only select from one region. So it's either, I think, like US, Central America, North America, and then there's, I think, Southeast Asia and Europe. Those are the regions that we have right now. We are planning on making it where you can have multi-level, multi-region hosting. So if you do have an app that's going to be frequently used in all parts of the world, you'll have the option to do that. So that is just something to keep in mind right now. I'm not sure where your user base will be, but they may experience a little bit of latency if, kind of depending on how you build the app and where they are accessing it from versus where you're hosting it. So that's just something to think about. So I just want to be transparent on that.
Okay, so if I'm in Hawaii, is it gonna be closer to Asia or?
That's a good question. I think it would be the North America, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you can
That's
change
pretty
it though.
clear.
You can set it to whatever you want. So
Yeah, you can change
it
it
might
at
pick
any
the
time
default. Yeah, I don't know.
test
What
it.
this there.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the advice. Yeah, I've been playing with the SAS template. It's super helpful, and learning curve is steep. Making mistake there and there, and without the undo button, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? But yeah, it's been very fun learning how to use
Nice.
Voter. I really like it. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you.
Anne. And we definitely hope, there's so much room for improvement in education, how to get started, tackling that learning curve. That's all stuff we're actively working on figuring out. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely. And, come in anytime with any other questions.
Okay,
For
good.
sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. All right. So let me see here. Alex, it looks like you are in the call. You had some things you wanted to work on. Are you game to show them now?
For sure.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just pop open. The main, let me share my screen here, sorry. The main thing I was having issues with, Dorian just kind of unlocked via chat. So I kind of having a plan of attack there with how to go. Sorry, let me move this here. You can see that, hopefully?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. But I did have a few other things kind of around spread through this app that aren't working. So the main thing I wanted to kind of resolve, I have these incident reports and I spent a ton of time working on them yesterday and I feel like they're getting pretty close. The one, I guess, key feature which Dorian was helping me with is this thing here. So you would add crew members, add a vehicle, and then continue. So I realized now that they weren't actually, when they're adding, weren't actually saving to a database. So there's nothing that I could populate that data with. So I'll be working on that behind the scenes, but I did want to say, or I guess, look at this in that when I'm creating the record, I think it's creating about 6 different records here, like on the, as I work through the different pages of this kind of this report. So I've got page 1, page 2, and then all different information at page 3, all the way to page 4. And I thought I had this set up that it's pulling, let me show you here. So I've got these like data update record actions. If it'll load here. So I've got these as setting, this is how I have them set on each one, where it's updating the record from that new record ID.
Yeah, I think that's probably where the issue is. When you open that step 3, what's the name of the variable where you're pushing the ID?
That's a good question. I don't know. Would it be set on step 2?
Could be.
Yeah.
Is that what's opening it?
Yeah, that probably right there.
Current record.
Yeah, so
Current
this
record.
right here. So because that page is not, so the current record, does that work on a page through? No, right? It has to be in the grid row.
Yeah, I don't know if it works on a page or also because you just like create the new record and then you're cycling through like using that new record ID. Like I don't think current record is the right
Yeah,
value.
so I think for this here, because you're not on the grid row, it's just a separate page. Can you show me before this one, what's the open action from step 1 to step 2?
Sorry, we're loading here.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Why'd you
go to
break it,
the,
Alex?
I
no,
know.
go back one. It's on the open.
This one here. So
And then,
that's all the data saving there, and then this is the
I mean, that might be right, but that looks correct right there. That's what you want to do. Instead of current record, you're selecting the actual record of new record ID from incident reports.
yeah, but this wouldn't work. Oh, I see. Specific record.
Because he created the record probably in the flow above there, you know.
Yeah. So that works. So then I think you just have to do the same thing you did here on step 2, right?
Yeah.
so each step. Okay.
Yeah, but on step 2, it won't be, the variable won't be new record ID. It'll be just ID.
ID.
Because when you get to step 2 and it creates the context from new record ID, now you're in a new context. Now ID is just ID.
Mhm.
So there's a little
The
twist
ID is
there.
actually referencing the new record ID.
It's like, yeah, when you open page 2, you're referencing new record ID, but now that you're in page 2, like you're in the ID. So ID is ID. So when you open page 3, you just use ID.
Yeah.
So in step 2, the variable changes to ID. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why over there it's creating, because the ID is not there. So it's just assuming 0 and creating new entities.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I can tackle that. I knew it was like, I knew kind of what was going on. Okay, cool. And I'll tackle that other one because that's kind of the main issue I'm having is getting that set up, and the rest is just like bugs. So thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Alex has been, gosh, a very, very, very long time builder user. I mean, you've probably seen all the different UI iterations than anybody else. So I'm excited to see what you think about the latest release. All right, so let's do a fun question and then we'll do some more troubleshooting. This one comes in from Karsh, and I'm just going to chat the question here in the chat so that everyone can see it. And the Drew or Dorian, if you guys can answer it. So the question from Karsh is there a difference in execution time between action, like creating a custom action, and run custom JavaScript? And the run custom JavaScript action, do they get the same priority? I get the feeling that run JavaScript action executes a bit slower.
I don't know. Dorian, do you know?
No, like there's a queue and they just get added to the queue based on the order and based on your waits and don't waits in your flows.
So there's really no distinction between actions, like what the action is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'd have to get with our devs to see.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's like that run JavaScript action is just like an action. Like everything in Builder is these like core component blocks. So it's like it technically, maybe because you're like reading a value from an input and then executing it, maybe it'd be like a millisecond of a millisecond slower, but really they're both the same thing at the end of the day. So it's probably the same speed.
Gotcha. It is probably just matters what's in the action, what it's doing more so.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would definitely affect it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, we could test it, I guess, create the same thing in both and
Yeah.
see.
I'd be curious. You never know. Like maybe there's
Yeah.
something happening behind the scenes I don't know about.
Okay, cool. I will pass that on to Karsh. All right. Do we have Jeff Swift? Hey, you had a couple things you need help with. Come on up.
Yes, Drew has been super helpful over the past week trying to
He's
work on the
amazing.
pinata issue. So thank you, Drew, for that.
Yeah.
So here I've got two, pull that. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom out of the way. So for some reason, when I generate an image, it doesn't generate the image. And I'll show you what I'm. So when you click on this button right here, generate an image, it is supposed to grab this div, which is right here. So it should be grabbing this thing right here. And then when I do it, it's gray. So this isn't, it's generated, but it's just the background. So it kind of looks like it's taking a screenshot just off to the left. So here's the blank image. When you click it, it just goes gray. So I'm not sure if it has something to do. When I have it taken a screenshot of this, it works, but then you lose all the text that's supposed to be on top of the image. So there's something about this div. I don't know if it's something with the styling. I don't know if it's that it's relative, or for some reason the div won't turn into an image. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense why it's happening.
And you confirm that that is the div selected. Like if you change the name of that one, just to, yeah, and then go to the action. Yeah, okay.
So if we do this, just refresh just to be safe. It generates it, but you lose all the blue text.
Wonder if it is the relative for some reason messing with it or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, let's look through the styles on that div, because it's got to be something's. There's not much on it.
So this is the image.
Yeah, and
The
that one
image
works.
is static, max width 500, and then the div. So if I change it to static, then it pushes the. I had it as relative so that these would show up.
Oh, I see up there. Yeah, yeah. You should be able to keep that relative. I mean, this shouldn't be the issue.
I never remember which one it is.
I know. I think we need to fix those icons. I think they're actually incorrect.
Well,
And have you tried it, like changing it to static and then trying it just to see
yeah,
if
let's
it
do that.
has a difference? And then you'll need to change the action to point to the div.
Oh yeah, the text is all up here now.
Yeah, but let's see if it at least gets the.
No.
No, so it's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not getting the children, I think. But
Is it just getting the background?
it seems like it. You tested it, right? That it's actually a gray image. It's not just clear.
Yeah.
It's not just nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it shows
I
up.
think it's just getting the background. It's just getting the div that you're selecting, but none of the children inside of it, which is confusing.
Guys, could this be an issue with, I mean, like a bug on our side, or is this a setup thing for
It
Jeff?
could be a bug technically, of course, but I don't know. I've used this image action before with children in it. Like, it's how we generate the studio pass on
Can we
the
do a
builder site, so-
comparison maybe of the, is this an outdated version for him? Maybe do we need, can we compare what's in the action or the functions for it?
Yeah.
What do
The
you
other
guys
thought-
think we should try here?
Should I try like a section or a container rather than a div? Would that make,
That shouldn't matter. I
Yeah,
think that it's
agreed.
either a bug or like the code's out of date or something. So we could check that in a second. Or the other
Okay.
thing might be something with like a style on that div, because the div itself, the code's not going to care what element it is.
okay,
But I'm going to try to open up that action and look at the JavaScript and see what it looks like.
and we can do this over Discord if that would be the, I don't want to take up other
It's all
people's
right.
time.
We've got time. We're gonna go longer today. If it gets too long, I'll
Okay.
ask if we can hop over to Discord and check it out later, but we can hang here and try some creative troubleshooting.
And then I've got a more straightforward question, I think, just about changing this image based on a different field. So do that one in a second, or
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I'm like kind of looking this.
Yeah, so while Drew's going through that, can you try that different? I think you were gonna maybe try and swap it using a container. Let's just try that real quick, just for fun. And see if it's still happening.
oops.
And I wonder if I mean, Drew, I don't know how much when you used it, like, could it potentially be hitting like a JSON limit or something?
I don't know about that. I'm looking at the code for that action now, and it's just using an external library. So there's barely even anything we can do. We just kind of like call this library and then run it. So I actually think it's less likely it's any of that, unless the library itself changed, but even that doesn't make sense because we call a specific version in our page header. So yeah, I'm not sure. Feel like the way you're doing it now with like kind of like an isolated test, like that'll be the best course of action, but I'm not sure what the first thing to test is, but Razor says try making the image transparent, see if it's a stacking or Z order issue.
Maybe like it's there, but it was just behind it or something.
Yeah, I just
that's
tried
kind
the
of
container.
interesting. Because like the div had a style of a background color, like maybe it's putting that over top of the image, basically. I don't know.
Well, I don't think the div has a background color.
Okay.
And
Wait,
I
did
just
the
tried
image
the
have a
container.
background color? Didn't something have a background
Yeah,
color?
the image does.
I wonder if that, is that might be what he means to make transparent. I would say try making that transparent, because yeah, maybe that's just making the whole image gray or something. Which would be crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, so there's no, is there a way to make it transparent, or is
Type
it
transparent in there.
just
or you can
remove it?
do
Okay.
Yeah,
RGB
because
lasers.
based on the output, it's like it's not even targeting the right image. Because where is it getting that gray from? The gray is the outer, right? The main page background.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it might take that for, oh no, it shouldn't take that for an image. You're right. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like almost that action is targeting the wrong
Yeah.
thing. Like set the background to like a blue or something just to make it different.
We'll probably
So
not have
we would expect it to come out as blue, right?
Yeah, but I think you need to set the background color of the container.
Oh, the main container, yeah.
Instead of the image, yeah.
okay. So put this back as that, and then set this.
Yeah, give it a background just to see if it's targeting. I think you wanted background color, right? I think.
Well,
you-
that worked. Where the
Or-
image has a gray background over top of it. You could either make the image transparent, or you can run this as a test, because if it's blue, we'll know it's not showing the image.
Hmm.
Oh,
So
where
it
is
is getting to the child.
So if we take
it? Yeah,
this,
make that transparent or take it off. Oh, actually, I expected it to turn blue now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like that other one is not. So it might just be something in the CSS.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That image has like a transparent background on the image itself, right? Or does it have that gray color background in the image? The original one.
that's a good question. Let me just look.
Looks like
It
it has
does.
it.
It has it.
It has the background.
So that's why we're not seeing the blue, at least. At least that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we would see it if you made the image a little bit smaller width than the outer.
Can you put a console log in the action JavaScript to see what div is being passed in?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
Yeah, so it's like it's not targeting the right thing. Because we should have seen that blue
We
on
could
the
we
side.
could check the JSON too. I mean, we just selected it, so I don't really know how it'd be wrong. But then, yeah, we could break on that action and just see what ID it's passing through. But it's going to be probably whatever's in the JSON.
So
So if you go to that action, oh yeah,
Yeah.
so you can remove that stuff.
okay.
And then just do the 3-dot menu on action 1, the little, yeah, and do JSON. Let's just make sure nothing looks weird in here, I guess. I mean, I don't really know. It's like that first thing, that container element, it's got a value of WPBS for its ID. So we can go check that that's what that's correct. All we have to do is kind of remember WBPS, and then yeah, you can cancel that. And then on the element itself, so on that container image,
Yeah,
click
go to
properties, and then JSON at the bottom. And I'll see that at the top it says element ID WPBS. So it's the right
so that's
element.
it. That's correct.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to like run some tests or something and try it out. See if I can get, like, maybe if I put a new project up and do this save image thing, it'll do the same thing. Maybe it's just a bug, or maybe I do it and it's correct. You could try rebuilding it too. Sometimes that helps. Like you just do a new action of save element to image, but I don't know. It's kind of a head scratcher.
And what's
Okay.
the image type of that image there? Like maybe it's just the type this
Wrong type.
function doesn't support.
That says PNG on the
Yeah.
What's the one? They're all PNGs.
Yeah, they are.
and
Yeah.
the resize thing, you can select your type, so it should be fine anyway.
Yeah.
And would it make any difference that well, I guess I don't think I've tried this. I should have tried that.
Yeah, you could try. I mean, it's worth trying. Turned white.
Earlier when I was doing this, it actually showed up like 1 centimeter of this, like so it was like it was taking like the very far left side of this was showing up in the image that was being created. I can't replicate that now, but that's what made me think that it was getting something too far to the left.
I can't really like imagine the too far to the left thing, but I sort of makes sense what you're saying. Like it's just like capturing like the
A part
side, but I just can't imagine what we would do or how we would change that. Oh,
Look, that works.
Okay, that's interesting.
You're moving in the right direction.
Oh, you just
Something
selected
showed up.
that section?
Yeah, I had it go to the section.
It's got to be that width. I bet you it's got something to do with that width. Like if you set the width of the div you're capturing and the
Mhm.
image, set that all to like 100%, and then set the width of the section to 500 pixels, and then capture the div. Something like that's gonna work, I bet.
This to me is fantastic because you can see how to actually go about debugging something. And a lot of it is like is it like, what's the expression? Throwing paint at a wall, throwing noodles at the wall,
Spaghetti at the wall or something.
or throwing spaghetti at the wall and like
Seeing
seeing
what sticks.
what sticks. I mean, that's really like so much of the process of building sometimes.
I know. Sometimes I feel like people would be shocked if they saw how much I do that. That's literally all I do is just try random stuff all day. Wow, same thing.
It's the width. As soon as
It's something around the width. So we're like pinpointing in on it for sure, but I just don't understand why it's doing that. It's so weird.
So
it
if
might
we
not
just-
like the max stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe just set an explicit 500 pixel width instead of max width. Because what it's doing, what that image thing is doing is somewhere else. It's creating that image. It's like rendering it and saving it. So maybe it's getting confused with the max width.
What if we just took that off?
Until we integrate with AI, and then y'all are gonna be like, create an app that does such and such and such and such, and then builders like, here you go. And then, I mean, you're still gonna have to go in there and, you know, change stuff, but that'll be the day.
It's hey, Chat GPT, why the F isn't this working?
So with no width.
Did you try making that 500 and it didn't work? Like not
Yeah.
max width either.
Yeah, it just returned just white background.
So weird. I don't even know.
Now that it doesn't do it. What if I made this?
Jeff, and you have to do, you have to have it in this section like that. This is probably a stupid question based on what you're trying to build, but like, is there no way to just do the image?
That's custom. It's like the words change, so it's coming out custom based on user input.
I'm trying to think, like, are there any creative solutions?
Yeah, like work.
I actually think
around.
you're close to figuring this out. I think like
Yeah.
some combination of, so just now you put the section to like 500 pixels and saved the section, but maybe it's like you put the section at 500 pixels, but you save the container image. Or, you know, like I feel like some variation, you're like right there. We just have to figure out, like,
Close.
we don't really know why it's happening, so we're just trying stuff to figure out what's going on.
Okay, I think I'll run through a bunch of different options because I think it's one of these things that's going to make it work.
Okay. All right, Jeff, are you cool if we hang on and like keep trying your stuff, because we can always jump back? But are you okay if we try and go take a look at a few more things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yay. So at least there's some sort of headway on that. All right, so we'll let Jeff explore that a little bit more. And then let's see, as far as question goes, I know Bexley needs help with some stuff, and John, you had a couple questions on, so John, let's go through your questions real quick, and then let's Bex, are you around? Yes. And then let's see what Bex has got. So I'm going to chat John's questions here into the chat, and then John, if you want to unmute and kind of talk to us a little bit about the enabling users thing. So 2 questions from John. Wait, Jeff, what? Hold on, come back up. Sorry, John. What? Show us. What'd you do?
I tried the thing that you said, Drew.
Nice.
So now the flow just grabs the container image, and the section is 500 pixels. The container is the way that we had it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And remember to switch it back to PNG if you want. I saw it's still JPEG.
Oh yeah.
No, it keeps its transparency layers.
Well.
So as soon as it loads, I'll show you that it works. PNG. Okay. Well, now it won't load.
It's like no PNG.
Well, it works once and then that's it. It's a one-time use. Okay. There we go.
Boom, nice.
Sweet.
Look
Okay.
at that.
See, sometimes it just takes a few hands in the pot making spaghetti.
And then you throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And something stuck. Yay.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you,
That was
Jeff.
awesome.
I'm so glad that that was sorted. And thank you, Drew and Dorian, for helping with that. Okay, so yeah, let's hop back to John. John, it looks like you are interested in maybe trying to figure out how to use an MP4 as a background in a website. You chatted out HyperArc. I don't know if Dorian or Drew, you guys could check out that link real quick and see if there's anything that maybe we could talk about with that. And then second question, enabling users to send emails to other users associated to a project. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what's the use case for that
Sure.
one? Hmm?
Sure. Do you want me to share a screen of the first one?
Yeah, sure.
Help? Okay, cool.
And I'm just going to step out for a minute. Guys, while I'll just be back in about 5.
Cool.
So do you guys see that screen?
Yep.
So here's what I've done. I've taken a GIF and I've made the GIF the background because it's a form of an image.
Mhm.
However, the pixel rate, it looks kind of, if you look at it, it looks a little kind of grainy.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to make this background in MP4 similar to that example in HyperArc, where it's I think it's a 5 meg MP4 when I went through the code, and it's just a matter of having it loop. This one's looping through it, naturally looping through a GIF, and let me show you a little bit about that as well. It's right here. Hold on, or bear with me a second. It's somewhere in here. There's a lot more in here. Here you go. So this is the GIF right there, and it's just about, I think it's about 12 megs. What I've been running into is I've got other videos that I can put on here, but I run into this limit of about 20 megs to load up an image or any kind of file. So what I've been trying to figure out is, okay, I have MP4s that are between 5 megs and 15 megs that I could use in the place of a GIF. How do I make that work? Because if I convert it from the MP4 to a GIF, it blows up in size if I want to keep the quality and the ratio and all that stuff. So what do you guys recommend?
You can there's like a video element where you can run an MP4 on loop. And I think that it like, for the most part, streams, like it'll like start playing before it's fully loaded. Yeah, that video element right there. So what I would do probably in this situation is put a div container that's position absolute, that's 100% width, 100% height, so it's just basically covering the screen, but position absolute, so other stuff goes on top of it. And then just pop that video element inside of that div. That's how I would approach it. But if your video is really huge, that might be like laggy, like it might not work, but I bet you it'll work in this scenario.
Got it. So in terms of that, then I would have to come here, and within this, I would have something float over it. So this would float on top of it right here.
Or you could, what I would do is put a div. So like, see how you're on your tree on the left, you have container at the top.
Yep.
You can put a div like above container, like out on the main level, and actually position somewhere in there. And you can keep it in the bottom there or put it in the top. It doesn't matter. And then on that div, put the video inside of it. And on the div itself, if you click on there, you can just do this on inline styles, but move this into a class later if you want. But just do position. So I forget where everything is in this view. But yeah, the first thing you want is position. There you go. This is my view right here.
That's okay. I do both.
And then, yeah, second one, absolute. And then I usually set these 4 properties. So to make it like full screen, so you do top and set it to 0. Just top. Yeah, that's the position. It's like all the way at the bottom if you scroll down the list. Yeah. And just do 0 and then left and do 0. And so these only work with position absolute or position fixed. And then you need width and height. You don't need to set, you could actually do right and bottom as 0, and I think it would do the same thing, but I usually do width and height. It's just personal preference, and do 100% for width and 100% for height. And then now it's like it's over top of your other stuff. So you could either move that div up above container, or you can set a Z index for it, which can force it below. So you can do a Z index of 0, and that should put it below. But sometimes you have to add a Z index to something else, but we can do it. Yep. So do 0 here. And then if that doesn't pop open on that container, the top level container element, put some inline styles on this one. You just do position relative and Z index 1. And the reason you do position relative is because Z index only works if you have a position. So it's that 4th one. That one, yep. And then just do Z index 1.
Cool. Thank you. That was very quick and easy.
And you might have to tweak that styling, that CSS a little, depending on what you're doing too, which feel free to just ask in Discord and we can help you through. But yeah, that should work for you at least. And on that video, there's properties, so you can make sure loop and autoplay are checked. And I believe if it autoplays, you have to have mute checked as well. The browser won't autoplay unless it's muted.
Got it. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yay. John, did you want to talk about your email question real quick?
Yeah, so it's probably a bigger topic, but I'll get right to it. So in my app, a user can create a project. A project has a bunch of records to it, but within those records, a field in there is a bunch of other users associated to that project. What I wanted to do is give the owner of the project the ability to send out emails to all those users. Hey, I made some updates. Boom, here you go. Just let everybody know. It's like a built-in collaboration. I wanted to give them that ability to do that and then list out the stuff, which is an added bonus. But I think just informing people there's an update in the project, go check it out, is probably the best thing to start with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you he could just use the send email generic,
Yeah,
right?
there's a
The
send grid action.
if you have a
Yeah.
send grid account. Yeah, can y'all walk them through that?
Yeah, I mean the basics of that action is actually, I can just pull it up while I'm talking. I'll start up a project. It'll send an email though of whatever you want to as many people as you want. So you could take that list you have of users and it'll just like send the same email to all of them, or you could do it one at a time and customize it.
Alex says he has a setup he could show.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Just a quick for the send grid, if you wanted to like a demo to walk through it.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. I was just gonna basically like open the action and look
Like
at
Alex, do you have your own like email form, like where they type in the message and then you send it out that way?
I've actually built that before. Yeah, I could pull that up. That's a different project, but
Oh, okay. So what were you going to show us with this one?
well, I just have like a super basic
Mhm.
contact us form, but it shows like the send grid if
Oh yeah, perfect.
helps.
Yeah, that's really the key, I think, is showing that action, because we pull it from a different spot depending.
You can go pretty crazy with it. I remember Dorian helped me with, I was working on a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like we got pretty deep into the send grid stuff here. So I've got this as like a contact us form, and I'll zoom in here. So you enter in like all your details here. This is the basically just text input fields. And then here's the send grid action. So I set this as a variable, which is taking all of this stuff here into one thing, and then the send grid sends from that variable.
Can y'all walk us through, someone, either Alex or what the kind of different arguments, so that John will know kind of how he needs to set this up?
Yeah.
As far as like the from and the to, and I think I might have a tutorial on this that I can send you as well.
Yeah. The one thing, if you use the send grid, you have to do a bunch of like setup on the send grid side, and you have to, the big thing that's caught me before is you have to verify your sender email. So it's like, I think just filter out spam, but you need to make sure like your domain and everything is verified and set up. Because even if you have this set up correctly on builder side, it won't fire. So here's the variable here. Basically, this is just constructing the email message from like all these different fields. And then here, basically I think probably for your use case, you would do this from like the current user info or logged in user ID. And then
and you can do multiple emails in there too.
Yeah, and his setup it'd be from the list of the emails because it's more than one, right?
Of course, yeah. And then this is like your email and then the message. So I did mine from the variable because I'm setting it here. And then you need your API key, and then you need a success message, or sorry, some kind of success action. And mine
I think
pops down a little thing that says send.
Yeah, and the only other thing to note there is there's an option for sending an HTML email or a plain text. So that's why when he set that variable up there, it has HTML code in it because he has it selected on an HTML message. That's how you can do like a nice looking formatted email. But if you don't want to mess with that, you could also just do plain text, type in it, don't worry about code, and it sends like a regular looking email, you know?
And then there's like dynamic templates on the send grid side that you can play with and send. So
yeah, and I don't think this action won't do those dynamic templates, I don't think, but that is like a whole other thing where it's like if you have the same types of messages going out from your app all the time, it's smarter to create like this dynamic template in SendGrid, and then you use a slightly different SendGrid action that'll just fill out variables in the template.
I think someone created one for dynamic templates, a custom action. So I'm sure if we ask, or I can find, they'd be willing to share that.
Yes.
Guys, could you talk to the two things that what Bex suggested is a possibility? He's saying, couldn't you just set a variable of the email list and pop up their email local client with new mail? Is that something that can be done?
Yeah, you can do that like with an A tag with a link. You can say mail to and write an email address, and that'll pop up in an email client. And you can also add on the end like question mark subject equals and body equals. You can kind of construct the whole email. So you could do it that way, but depending on your users, like for me, that doesn't work for me because I don't have, I guess maybe it would open in like Superhuman, but I don't really use email that way. So I never click those. So I tend to not think about it, but that is an option for sure. Okay. I think automatic is a little more like modern. Okay,
awesome. Alex, thank you so much for showing that. John, I hope that's helpful, and let us know, as you set that up if you need any help. And then Z Spaceman has a question. He's saying, can we upload our own HTML to that email action?
Yeah, with that action, that's what Alex just did, is he created a variable that was HTML, kind of constructed it, but you can get it from anywhere. And then passed it. That's what the email is whatever's in that HTML, that's what SendGrid sends.
Nice. Okay. So I think step number 1 is get a SendGrid account if you don't have one. I think it's free, and you can send a bunch on the free account, I think, before you have to to upgrade anything. And then the only thing with SendGrid is once they give you your API key, remember what that is because they'll never show it to you again. You'd have to create another one. So, okay, cool. All right. So I think, yep, we still have a little bit of time. Are you guys good to hang out? I think Bexley had some stuff he needed help with. Bex, are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. And let me see here. And then if anyone has any other questions, definitely please chat them. Or if you have to go, thank you. It was very nice having you in the chat. We'll keep going if you want to hang around. All right, Bex.
Alrighty. So yeah, there's a couple of issues that'd be good to try and work out tonight. But this one, I've got a flow on my main calculator page here. And it's only triggered from two places, and they're in a grid row. And one of them is on the autosave. So if I change something in a grid row, it triggers this calculation. Then the other one is when it does the last row. But when I create it, show it in the app. So when I hit manage trade, it'll populate the grid row down here, the grid down there. And when it hits the last row, it should trigger that calculation. But it doesn't happen on the first go. So yeah, you'll see this is blank up here, and then I've got oh, that would have been from a previous one. Yeah, I've got console logs and that. Oh, it did actually run this time. It's kind of intermittent. Sometimes it will run and sometimes it won't. Let's see if it'll... Yeah, this time it didn't. So I haven't got my console logs there.
Yeah, I think it's a timing thing. That grid row on the far right didn't exist before this got triggered on the grid row down here.
But it didn't even trigger. So that is just a reflection of the function happening. But the function, like I would have console logs here if the function actually ran. So if I go to another page and then come back, it'll trigger. And if I go to the, see, it's got all this. This is the calculation running.
And that gets triggered on the grid
on the
row,
last row.
The row. Can you show me the, like, those flows and how those get triggered? I'm assuming it's on page load.
Yeah, so page loads. I've got this last row condition, which is looking at the array index, and I'm just looking at, so this is the main page. This is the grid row element. It looks correct when I select it, but every time I come back, it doesn't show the name.
Yeah.
And then I'm just doing length, and then I run this action here, which this is doing the run flow on page.
If you go back to that action we were looking at, instead of doing value, change that to data. Down there. Yeah, because what value does is it's waiting for the value to be set for every row, where the data just grabs the initial data that got set from the beginning. So let's try this. Let's see if
is that dot length right there, right? Or should it just be length?
It should just be length, but I don't think
dot
it should just ignore it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I kind of thought I might ignore it, but I figured I'd mention before we.
Yeah. If this doesn't work, we can try removing that
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah, it didn't run.
It didn't run.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I feel like something's failing in that condition. We can put a breakpoint on that specific condition just to see what the values are when it's trying to run that. To do that.
Oh, you know what? Also,
I'll
it needs a
correct
plus
this as
one.
well.
Yeah, I would say try to change that just in case. But also you really want to check array index +1, right? To get last row. Because if the length of the grid is 1, the array index would be 0. It's like it's array index +1.
Or minus, right?
Yeah, it put the dot in itself, so.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Because the array index starts at 0. So if you have 3, the third one is 2, but the count is 3.
Yes,
Oh,
you would
right.
do array index +1 then, right?
Yeah, so I think maybe that's the whole issue. So
So
for
this
this
should be,
value 2, you can either deduct it from the total, or you can add on the row. Either one,
Right.
you just need to do some math.
So should I just do this as a math?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
you
do
do
it
that.
here.
Do math.
But yeah, I bet that's what it is.
Let me copy this first.
Good catch, Drew.
I just did it. That's why I just did this. You gotta backspace that and type it again. This is like a little finicky interface.
Yeah, this whole thing needs to get rebuilt.
So it
And
should
just
be
plus
minus
one.
+1.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go try it.
Because in theory, it like never hit the last row, so it would never run.
Right.
Right.
Refresh just in case.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find calcs come through, sometimes they don't. It's
Mhm.
Same with styles. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Yeah, that's good.
That one worked. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
This other one would work sometimes.
Yeah, which now after fixing that, I'm like, how did it even work?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the count was off, you know. That one didn't.
Yeah, should update. Update up here.
Yeah, I think we need to put like a breakpoint to see, you know, what the values are when it hits that condition.
Okay.
Let me chat you something. In the meantime, if you can go get that conditions action ID.
Yeah.
The top one, yeah, just single click. It should select that value and then just copy.
Right.
And then let's go back to your preview. And then let's open the developer tools.
Yeah.
And then go to sources at the top left.
Yeah, this is where the zoom thing gets in the way.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we don't see those.
Sources. Yeah.
And then actually you already have objects.js open. If you go to line, I think it's what, like 2254. I think we'll see.
Has anyone tried Jeroen's debug Chrome extension?
I did that one say, yeah. Click on that.
I've got it installed for the where I check the variables. Yeah, it's very useful.
Yeah, for the variables, but it wouldn't work for this because we're trying to see what the value is in the action. And then right click on that breakpoint, and then in the chat I chatted a little condition there that we can paste in there.
Yeah, I gotta find where's the chat. Yeah.
It's like the third chat up from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do I put that?
If you right click on that, yeah, and then go to edit breakpoint.
Oh, edit. Okay.
Yeah, paste that in there, and then you'll need to replace and remove that. Yeah, exactly. And then where it says action ID here, paste that action ID you copied.
Oh,
you have to get it again. Yeah, copy that. And then right click edit, yeah, and then paste that in. Oh, there you go. And then just hit enter or click away. And then now let's go run. Go click that button, yeah. And then it will hit that break. It's gonna hit it for every row. So we should see it run through that 3 times. The first 2 we can just skip over. So we're just curious what the last one is.
That's one.
So that's the first one, right? So you can just skip over that. You can just hit the play button up there. Yeah,
Yep.
click that. And then they'll hit it again. Click play one more time. And then on this third one, in that middle panel, if you scroll a little bit to the right, you're going to see a little bit more. It's going to say INP args right there, to the left a bit.
Go back a little bit. Yeah.
And then put your mouse over where it says, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this time it's going to work. So hit play again, and let's go confirm that it works. So it does fire it.
Yep.
And then let's try it again. Let's repeat this process.
So that breakpoint's gonna stay in there until we remove it.
Yeah, it'll stay there till we remove it or close the developer tools. And then again, we'll skip the first 2. And then let's scroll to the right, or actually it's already there. So go to the input args, the INP args. And let's see what the value is on this one this time.
See,
to the left, yeah, right there. So this is gonna work. So let's try it again. Wonder if when we refreshed the first time, like the value hadn't saved yet.
Yeah.
So maybe now it's going to work every time. Or it could be a timing thing because it does slow it down when you have the developer. Or I guess you always had them open. Try it again though. Let's just see. But it is firing, but it's not working. You see that?
Yeah, it's not updating up here, but that's
So your condition is all correct.
Yep. So now it's the saving back to the database, which is a different part of the action.
So let's skip the first two. That should be, yeah, that's all
Yeah,
correct.
it's good. Oh, here we go. We got not a numbers. What did I do? I must have. That's probably why it's my calculations thrown out at the moment. Something went awry. That's why it's not showing up here.
Oh,
I've got
gotcha.
not a numbers. So it probably is saving to the database, but it's just. Yeah, that'll be something else. So I wouldn't worry
Yeah,
about
but
that.
at least that condition is now, we know it's
Yeah.
working correctly and it's firing on the last one as it should.
Yep.
So now it's like, now we need to track it on the next actions that happen on the other side.
Yeah, I can dig into that, why it's not. So I think it is updating. Okay. It's just that my calculations,
Yeah,
something's
something's
thrown
thrown.
it out. Yeah. So it's getting not a numbers.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I can look into that later.
Yeah, and you can just, or yeah, that's fine. I was gonna suggest to disable it if ever you needed to use that.
Oh, right. Can you oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, once you
Is-
remove it, it's gone forever, and you have to. I
Yeah,
have like a
'cause
thing where I have that
that's a
little snippet ready to
handy-
paste anytime.
the handy thing to have, like anytime you're wanting to break point on a specific action, like I would save that syntax, store it somewhere so you can always.
Yeah,
use it in the
absolutely. I'll
future.
check this in a. Nice. So that was that one. I get another quick one, I guess, that shouldn't take much. Is see these fields down here. Is there a way to, and I've got a similar problem with these fields up here. So this is my style, right, where I've got the white text on the black background. But for these, there's the other icon here, which is where you actually have to hit to bring this up. That when I change the color, that doesn't get changed. And I think that's a similar thing with the placeholder text. Like when I change when I put a color style in, it's not changing the placeholder text. Is there a way to update those
There
styles as well?
is, you have to add a state per placeholder to these, to the styling.
Is it, am I right? Is it the same thing?
It
between
is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
cool.
the same thing. It's what
Okay.
controls that. So if you go to the styling of those inputs,
Okay. So styling.
yeah, so open that style class, yeah. And then in here where it says state, yeah, you'll add a new one. And for this one, the way it works is this is one of those that has the double colons, and you have to remember
okay.
that Builder automatically adds the first one. So the
Right.
name will be :placeholder.
Is it all lowercase?
Oh, lowercase, yeah. And then go ahead and add that.
Okay.
And then click on it. It does, or it did switch. It's just like, and then you're just gonna add a property for color, and then
Yeah.
the colors controls that.
Cool. Hey, nice. Yeah, so that'll be the same for those ones. So that's cool.
And maybe it's different for the little calendar or the little time icon. I've changed those before. I'm trying to remember what those.
Yeah, I've got the same style, so it should have come across as
Let me see. Let's do a little search.
There might be like, yeah, another prefix, like a WebKit or Firefox prefix or something that you need for those.
Oh, right. Okay. How do you target them? Do you target them the same way, or is that?
You just make make a couple. So like if you have one for placeholder, one that's like WebKit placeholder, you'd have two custom states and just with the same style set.
Okay.
There might even be just like a separate name for those too when it's in that kind of input.
All right, I found it. It is different. This one's a longer name, so I'm just gonna chat it instead. And you can just copy that. So this is what controls those.
Oh wow. And so that goes in the
Yeah, you'd add another one. And then paste that in. Yep. And then on that one, be the same thing, just your color. No, it didn't change. Maybe it's background color.
Oh, because this is a time. That one is it should be the same for both.
Not sure actually.
It might be called like same thing.
Although this one is the calendar, and this has got the same style. So
yeah.
Let's see. Those are different classes too. Is that?
Oh, actually, the way you have to do that one, because it's not converted by color, you have to.
Oh, they are different classes.
You have to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You have to do. Yeah, filter with invert one is what people are saying online. So go back into the color.
Filter is actually a property, not a state. You just in the default, you just add a new property for filter.
Well, but you need it only on the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On that state, because that's going to do the whole thing.
Don't listen to me.
Go in there and then remove color from that list, and then click the three dots and then do Yep, and then add a new property in this one called filter. Yeah, select it, and then you're going to type invert open parentheses 1. And then close parentheses.
And for filter, before you move off, you do have to add a WebKit filter. So it works on iOS and Safari.
No.
So if you go to new property there, you have to just type in -WebKit, WEBKIT. And it's not going to find it. Just keep typing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like an unknown one for builder, and then -filter. And then press enter. And so that'll add the property, it'll add whatever. So just put that same thing there, invert 1. And if you change it, just update them both, keep them the same.
Right. Huh. There's a backdoor thing for us.
little trick, yeah.
Yeah.
Someday we won't have to do that anymore.
Okay, cool. That'll do for me for tonight. Thanks for that.
Yay, thank you, Bex. All right, guys, so we are pushing time. Can we go through the question real quick about the radius job search? I think, Drew, did you have something you wanted to share on that for the user who had asked about that?
Josh answered the correct answer. Like how people do it is you get latitude and longitude of the first point and latitude and longitude of the second point, and you calculate the distance. And so that's like your radius. Whatever that distance is, you can check a radius and see if it's greater than or less than. But there's a lot of steps in there. Like that's like not an easy task. So like I was saying that there's probably a library that you could put in 2 addresses and it would tell you the distance. Like I bet Google has a library for that. And you know, that something like that would be much easier than actually doing a radius search yourself. You know, I'm pretty sure there's a Google radius search library where you just tells you if it's in a radius, yes or no kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. I'll suggest that. Excellent. Okay, then I think that we can go ahead and call and close this session. That was a lot of fun. Thank you all so much. A big thank you to Drew and Josh and Dorian for helping guide everyone today. We'll see you next week. We do this every week, and I will try and get the replay uploaded into Discord here either today or tomorrow. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yes.